The MALCONTENTMENT TANGO is a team of journalists, activists, and researchers with three key missions. A commitment to show an unfiltered view of the before, during, and after of key events, live as they happen. To defend the First Amendment, using our rights of a free press and to petition the government for redress of grievances, and to amplify the voices of underrepresented individuals, including Black, Indigenous, persons of color, and the LGBTQIA+ community. Our team is committed to seeking equality for all and holding those in power accountable. The easiest way to support us is to like and follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter, Periscope, Twitch, and Instagram. Thank you for supporting independent journalism and for being a malcontent. We have news. Hey there, malcontents. This here is the malcontent. And I guess I have to wiggle a little bit. I see I'm kind of partially embedded by the chat. There we go. We'll slide the camera over a little bit. There we go. I'm in Studio One because we still need all of our election roles. I explained yesterday all of the programming and election programming is in studio. That computer has been moved back to Studio One, so everything is on that computer there. We have a state. We are calling a state, and this is one of the reasons why we're rolling on here. So let me just find the state button. Here we go. Joe Biden. We are calling Nevada for Joe Biden and 6 electoral votes. And I'm going to explain why we are doing that. Because I know we said we would align to the AP. I know the AP has not made the official call. And I get that we're a very small organization and we're making our call and we're shouting into the void. I get it. But this is the reason why we're doing this. Joe Biden's lead in Nevada has grown to 21,000 votes. That is more than double the margin that Hillary Clinton won Nevada in 2016. So that's reason number one. Reason number two, there are less than 40,000 ballots left in Nevada to be counted, and almost all of those ballots are in Washoe County and in Clark County. And they would have to break at something that is basically mathematically impossible. They would have to break at about 85% Donald Trump, 15% Joe Biden, to shrink that to kind of a recount level tie, not even to push things over, but to a recount. And Washoe County is the Metro Reno area. Clark County is Las Vegas. Both of them are clearly blue. That's reason number two. So here's reason number three why we're calling the state. Last night, Nevada officials called a ballot measure in the state of Nevada to make gay marriage a constitutional right within the state of Nevada. So if you're not familiar with this, right, people think Constitution, the United States Constitution. Every state has its constitution, and within that there are constitutional amendments. Here in Washington state, where people are, anytime anybody in Washington state says, politician X, if you vote for them, they're going to create an income tax, like seriously, that should go through this year and write out the other, or the other way around, because it's bullshit. The reason it's bullshit, it is in the Constitution of the state of Washington, you can't have an income tax. So the only way you can create a state income tax in the state of Washington is to change the state constitution, which would require, because what I've heard then the next argument is, well, the Democrats will do it. It would be political suicide for any political party in the state of Washington at the current state of affairs to amend to create a income tax. So I'm just explaining to you how states have their constitution. So in Nevada, they had a ballot measure to modify Nevada's state constitution to make gay marriage a constitutionally protected right. And Nevada last night became the first state in the country to protect gay marriage at a constitutional right, which we love those kind of news at the Malcontent Tango, because we are amplifying voices for the LGBTQIA and the BIPOC community. It is because of these three reasons. There's less than 40,000 votes left. Joe Biden's margin now of victory is over 2%. And what that means is that he has more than double the votes that Hillary Clinton got in the final count in Nevada. And the passage of the ballot measure in Nevada that protects gay marriage. So those three things together just points a big blue light blinking on the dashboard for Nevada, and we just don't see how we can get there. And so with that, let's go back to what we predicted. We predicted on November 2nd, that's on MALCONTENTMENT.com, and you can go to our final election prediction. We predicted that the final electoral vote count would come out at 290 to 248. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into that map. And this was the map that we predicted. And this is how we think things would have gone. And in there, as you could see, we predicted Arizona, we predicted Nevada, we predicted the Rust Belt states outside of Ohio, we predicted Pennsylvania, we did not predict Georgia, Florida, Iowa, Ohio, Texas. We did predict Maine too. I had said for a long time where New Hampshire goes, Maine too goes, and we predicted that Donald Trump would hold on to Nebraska too. With our decision to declare Joe Biden the winner in Nevada, the current Electoral College delegate counts is 270 to 214 with 54 outstanding electoral votes. And the current map now looks like this. And so what we have there, and we have Nebraska, where Joe Biden won Nebraska 2. And in Maine, we have Donald Trump won Maine 2. So those two had flipped. And Georgia, as before I went on the air, Georgia was up 1,154 votes. And Pennsylvania is also up, and we're going to talk about Pennsylvania. But you need 270 to win, and so I'm doing it. I'm pushing the button. I'm pushing the button. And there you have it. Joe Biden is President-elect Joe Biden, and Joe Biden will be the 46th President of the United States of America. Joe Biden does not need Georgia or Pennsylvania to win the presidency of the United States of America. There is an important distinction because there's some misinformation already going on. So we're going to go ahead and squash this one. In Pennsylvania, the ballots that are being counted that Joe Biden has the lead on does not include any ballot that arrived after November 3rd. Pennsylvania took those ballots, the ones that arrived after Election Day, and put them in a lockbox. And they will, I just channeled Al Gore, lockbox. And they put them in a lockbox, and they will be counted separately. So Joe Biden's lead in Pennsylvania is absent any ballot that showed up after November 3rd. That's a very important distinction. And ultimately, what I think is going to happen when this is all added up is I do think that I was conservative in the forecast. Georgia was a surprise, and I think that this is going to land at 306, 232 when all of this is said and done, with a final electoral map that will look like this. And let's talk about where some of these things landed. And there's some key states that I want to talk about and why states swung one way or the other. And I'm going to talk about some things that I got right and I'm going to talk about some things that I got wrong. But before I do that, I'm going to hit the button again because I want to play it again. Is that just glorious or what? You're supposed to be objective. Yes. Do you know how much crap me and the mods and the admins have taken about Trump 2020, and you'll be crying on November 4th and you'll be irrelevant, or not even to get into the phone calls and emails and death threats, and we're going to come and house arrest you when Trump wins and stuff like this that I've gotten. So, sorry. I'm pretty happy right now because, you know, you were rubbing this in our faces for so long, and I'm not going to stoop to that, but you better believe I'm going to sit up here with a big goofy smile on my face right now. So let's talk about this and the final results and where things went. And we'll go around, and I'm going to start with Maine. So Maine was really a surprise for me. Maine 2 not going to Biden was a surprise because I really felt that Maine 2, where New Hampshire went, Maine 2 would go. The other thing is that the margin of victory in Maine wasn't very narrow. There isn't a huge polling error that we're seeing in Maine. So Maine 2 was a bit of a surprise for me. Let's continue kind of moving across the country here, and we're going to go to Pennsylvania. I am not surprised in Pennsylvania. Nobody should be surprised in the results in Pennsylvania. I saw your comments on election night, and the team, when we would kind of go on breaks, we were running stuff, and the team were talking. I have to admit, there were a couple of times I'm like, oh, this is ugly. Wow. But I continued to say to our election team, it's like, nope, don't worry. And I kept saying this, don't freak out over Pennsylvania, because they haven't counted, and they were legally not able to start counting any of the mail-in ballots until the morning of Election Day. So the results that we were seeing in Pennsylvania was the result of a bunch of Republicans that went and voted on the same day. So you had this red mirage, and then you had the blue shift that happened there. That's not true. They're stealing the election. Okay, let's go down the coast a little bit to North Carolina for the people who are saying things like that. And if we go down to North Carolina, we had the direct opposite there, because North Carolina counted all of the ballots that they had show up before Election Day, not to include the ones that were showing up at Election Day. And those ballots are heavily Democratic, as they have been across the country, because Democrats don't want to get C disease and wear masks and don't like the idea of standing in a line for hours, sucking in everybody's germs. Republicans think that C disease is like no big deal and don't want to wear masks and go to rallies and congregate up together and go to super spreader events to chant 4 more years and then go stand in line and vote on Election Day. That's basically the fundamental difference that happened here. So in North Carolina, we saw this great blue number out of the gate. This is wonderful. And then it's disappeared. And Donald Trump will win North Carolina, in our view, by a narrow margin. That is a prediction, simply because you had a blue mirage, which then slowly shifted over to red. Let's talk about Georgia. That's the next state for me that's kind of like, whoa, a little bit of a surprise. Georgia is a surprise for me, but the thanks has to go to Stacey Abrams. And I want to talk about that for a minute. Stacey Abrams should have been the governor of Georgia. The election was not stolen from her in an illegal sense, not in the insane things that Trump and some of his surrogates are saying, and that the violent, militant right, the domestic terrorist extremists, and we are going to start labeling you as domestic terrorists, that little corner of America, outside of the crazy stuff they're saying, and I'm not saying that's what happened, but between some voter suppression, between gerrymandering, between making it harder in Democratic areas for people to vote, Kemp squeezed out this very, very tiny victory in Georgia. And let's not forget, Chuds, that if you're saying that Georgia's been stolen for Donald Trump, Kemp is so far up Donald Trump's ass that when Donald Trump eats a Big Mac, Kemp tastes it 5 seconds after it goes down Trump's head hole. That is how far Kemp is up Trump's ass. Oh, and let's not forget, Chuds, also the Secretary of State in Georgia. Yeah, they're a Republican too. And you have Kemp going. Oh, and the other thing is, Chuds, if you cut off the vote there, you're actually going to flip some House seats from Republican back to Democrat. So you'll lose seats if you do that. Like, just try to explain it all out. You can't. But it's about Stacey Abrams. Stacey Abrams did not go as strong black people that have been fighting for equality since the day they're born till the day they die did not roll over and go, okay. What did Stacey Abrams do? She went out and registered 800,000 more Democrats, most of them black voters. And who delivered Georgia to Joe Biden? Black voters. Joe Biden. And also, who's delivering Pennsylvania to Joe Biden? Black voters. Joe Biden, you need to help the BIPOC community. And I ain't talking the way that this country's been helping them for the last 400 years or since 1964. They need more. They deserve more. It's about flipping time to do more. And Stacey Abrams, thank you. And also, some good trouble down there in Georgia. John Lewis, this one's for you because it was your district, John Lewis, your district that pushed it over to Joe Biden last night. Now, there are still some ballots left to be counted in Georgia. But Georgia has been very methodical and careful in how they're counting their ballots. Let me talk about Florida, because I think Florida surprised some people, and I never felt, and malcontents in the back rooms, right, your mods and your admins, this is going to be, Lori completely agree that Stacey Abrams deserves a seat at the table. I completely agree with that. Now, let's talk about Florida. I never felt Biden was going to win Florida. Never. When some of the numbers were coming in on election night, I was kind of like, ooh, this could be interesting, because initially when those numbers came out, it was a better lift than what I expected. And Joe Biden handily lost Florida. So why wasn't I surprised by that? And I don't think you should. The message that the Democrats are Marxists, our socialists are going to destroy the nation. This message really resonated with the Hispanic community, particularly in southern Florida. And there were early indications about a month before the election that Donald Trump was about doubling his support in South Florida among the Hispanics. Guess what? That's kind of what happened there. Now, you're going double, but we're talking doubling from like 15% to, or 16% to about 33%. However, it's a huge voting block. And it is that voting block that in large part delivered Florida to Donald Trump. Now, we can get into this whole discussion of people voting against their interests, and no, they're not Marxists, and no, we're not going to become the next Venezuela or Nicaragua. And if anything, if I think of a country like Nicaragua, and Nicaragua's been big on my mind, Donald Trump's the guy that would be taking us to Nicaragua, not Joe Biden, because Ortega's just a friggin' dictator, and what they have down there, as I explained a little bit last night, it is not a communism in any stretch of the imagination. So that's the next one. Nebraska 2. Nebraska 2 was a surprise for me because I didn't think Joe Biden would win Nebraska 2. I think it would be very close. Hillary Clinton got close, but when I looked at the margin that Hillary Clinton had in 2016 in Nebraska 2, because Nebraska 2 was predicted to go blue, Joe Biden was close to those same predicted numbers, and I'm like, I just don't see it. And then the last thing that was the pun intended icing on the cake is, when there were 29,000 people left to freeze to death after a Trump rally in Nebraska outside of Omaha, the fact that you had 29,000 people show up at the super spreader event to be left for dead on the side of the road later, to me was this indication that, wow, he has a lot of support in Nebraska, too. I get there's a lot more than 29,000 people, but let's remember, 6,200 people showed up at Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? So 29,000 people there to me was, wow, there is a lot of support. So I was really surprised that Nebraska, too, went to Joe Biden. But I'll take it because that gets into back to that forecast model that we had, which was pushing the wrong buttons. This forecast model. So if I flip Maine 2 and I flip Nebraska 2, I still kind of got it right. So let's go. Sorry, wrong map. No, I had the right map. I'm hitting wrong buttons here. Ohio, I just, the surprise in Ohio is how uncompetitive Joe Biden was in Ohio. That's the thing that surprises me. The polls were wickedly off in Ohio. And that's something that's going to have to be analyzed. And frankly, because I never really put Ohio in Biden's camp ever, and the only thing that I saw Ohio benefiting Joe Biden was forcing Donald Trump to defend that state. So I never felt Ohio was in play. Biden's weakness in Wisconsin and Michigan was a surprise. And let's go again. Who delivered Michigan to Joe Biden? Black voters in the Detroit area. Joe, do something. Do something. Too many people are dying. Too many names. Too much inequality. Too much suffering. Do something. Not a little something. Do something. Kamala Harris, do something. Texas. I'm a little surprised in that Joe Biden didn't perform better in Texas. I am not surprised in how the numbers went. There was this historic amount of early ballots in Texas. So, of course, there was this big lead for Joe Biden, and we once again saw a red shift, right? What a shock. A bunch of ballots came in early. Those ballots were counted. Those were mostly Democratic ballots. And then you got the red shift, and it went the other way. And I'll say it again in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania was prevented by the courts to count their ballots early. They couldn't start counting until day of election. So the results we got on election night were day of votes, not votes that came in from the mail and early balloting. Arizona, I am not surprised by, I know there's people, he could still, no, I'm not surprised by Arizona. I'm not surprised Arizona got called by the Associated Press and Fox News, and Arizona is going to go to Joe Biden. And why is that? You have a younger demographic that has come into Arizona. You have a much larger Hispanic population that's growing in Arizona, where the white population is on track to become a minority population in that state. And but you said the Hispanics in Florida all went for, I didn't say they all went for Trump. I said 33% went for Trump, and there were, 33-67. And so you do the math. That means most of them are still voting for Biden. And then the third thing is California transplants. Remember, Chuds, remember how excited you were that people were leaving California? Oh, look, they're fleeing California. Look at the map. They fled California to Nevada and Arizona, and with it, they took their votes there. And that's what's happening in Nevada, and that's what's happening in Arizona. And so I'm not surprised by that. Nevada, I never considered a battleground state. Never. And I really reluctantly put it on the map as a battleground state. Nevada is blue. And Nevada will stay blue, and it'll be very hard for Nevada to go back. But look at all the red when you look at the county maps. When you look at the county maps in Nevada, some of those counties, in the whole county, there's not even 500 people voting. You have vast areas geographically in Nevada that when you put it on a county map and you go blue and red, looks really impressive, but they're areas where no one lives, right? Everybody in Arizona, the population of Nevada is huddled up by close to Lake Tahoe in the northwest corner and are down in Vegas in the southeast corner. And that's where people live in Nevada. And there's like nothing in between. It's gorgeous, beautiful, desolate nothing, but that's what's in there. Exactly. You have to look at population very and not just landmass. Should we play it again? Let's play it one more time. All right. That's it. I'm done. So what will happen? What will happen? We will see election results in Nevada. And I am, and I'm sure I remained surprised yesterday. Nate Silver made a comment yesterday. He is surprised that they had not officially called Nevada for Biden. He actually said it before I said it. I was thinking it, and then I read something, and it was like, I see, I'm not the only one thinking it, looking at the numbers that were coming out of there. We believe that because of the rhetoric that is coming from Donald Trump and the increasing threats of violence, and make no mistake about it, Philadelphia officials are claiming that they may have broken up a domestic violence, a domestic terrorist attack in Philadelphia yesterday against vote counters. There are domestic terrorist extremists that are interfering with the vote count in Arizona, which is really ironic because that vote count is helping Donald Trump, although he won't win there. But they're literally slowing down the vote count. That is what the Secretary of State is saying. That's what Maricopa County officials are saying. That's what the city of Phoenix is saying. They are asking them to go home. But one thing I have noticed, Arizona, I'm not seeing any tear gas, pepper spray, rubber bullets, batons, mass arrests, or anything like that. You're just letting those domestic terrorists run wild because some of those who work forces, right? Because, there's some people in their spare time or their buddies, because we've seen all the stories and we know how it rolls. Anyway, that's it, malcontents. I know some, we'll play this for the haters.
You fit the profile. You're the malcontent.
Nobody wants to hear the nonsensical ravings of a loudmouth malcontent.
He said malcontent Antifa, fuck you.
You are the biggest hypocrite on the face of the planet.
I say that you're a terrible reporter. That's what I say.
So thank you, Nebraska 2, because you were the Nebraska 2. You were the difference between 269 and 270. So thank you, Nebraska 2. Thank you, Stacey Abrams. Thank you to the black community of Georgia and Pennsylvania. Thank you to the California transplants in Arizona and Nevada. It is President-elect Joe Biden. Donald Trump has no viable legal path to win a second term. The end. See you soon, malcontents. The Malcontentment Tango is a team of journalists, activists, and researchers with 3 key missions. A commitment to show an unfiltered view of the before, during, and after of key events, live as they happen. To defend the First Amendment, using our rights of a free press and to petition the government for redress of grievances, and to amplify the voices of underrepresented individuals, including Black, Indigenous, persons of color, and the LGBTQIA+ community. Our team is committed to seeking equality for all and holding those in power accountable. The easiest way to support us is to like and follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter, Periscope, Twitch, and Instagram. Thank you for supporting independent journalism and for being a malcontent.